Hey guys, welcome to No Filters, Just Freedom, the show for people who are ready to stop shrinking, start rising, and live with unapologetic audacity. My name is Jasmine, I'm a life coach, and I'm here to guide us all through this journey of bold, authentic living.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thanks for listening to today's episode where we're talking about breaking the chains of people pleasing, how to live for yourself without feeling like a jerk. So let's get started. Raise your hand if you've ever said yes while screaming no deep on the inside. If your hand is up, congrats. You're a recovering people pleaser. And today we're setting you free. We're getting rid of the unnecessary sorry, getting rid of the apology for breathing, and getting rid of the feeling like your entire presence is a bother. Today, we have to learn how to stop being a human like button and start being a fully operational human. Here's the truth. People pleasing isn't a kindness. It's self-betrayal in disguise. Now, we have to figure out how we got here, though. So let's start with the signs that you are a people pleaser. 1, if you've ever said, "I'm fine," through visibly gritted teeth. And we're not just talking about the, hey, I don't feel good and I'm fine because we have to power through something. Oh, I'm at work and I want to be at home because I'm feeling sick kind of fine. We're talking about when someone asks you to do something that you totally don't have time for. When someone asks you to go out of your way to get something done and they're like, "Are you sure you're good?" And you're like, "Sure, I'm fine." Like that, I'm fine. Like, "Hey, can you go around the corner and pick up all these things I need to move that I was too lazy to do just because you happen to be in the area and I don't really care what your schedule looks like?" "Sure." "Really? You can do it for me?" "Yeah, I'm fine. It's not that big of a deal." It totally is that big of a deal. You're people pleasing. You're deciding that what they need in that moment can outweigh or can push aside what you're doing. So that kind of I'm fine. That kind of I will put myself second for the sake of literally whatever else is happening. Okay? Number 2, you've RSVP'd maybe to events you'd rather set on fire than attend. Okay? We're talking about your random coworkers, fantasy football, we're starting this new thing for Hanukkah that I don't even celebrate type vibe. And you're like, "Well, I don't really want to go, but maybe I should because if I don't go, they'll think that I don't care about them or I'm not invested in this." Well, that's not really a yes, so I'll click maybe and then I'll decide when I get there. No. Well, I don't really have anything on the calendar, so no. That's people pleasing. That's when you decide, oh, that's not really my favorite thing, but I'm worried about what they may or may not think, or if this portrays this action that I don't mean. So instead of taking time for yourself and celebrating yourself, you're like, maybe, and then you probably end up showing up. And last thing, you've essentially donated organs you're still actively using just to avoid conflict. Okay? Like when someone's like, "Well, I want to get this done," and you're saying, "No, you really don't." Maybe it's a hard boundary. Maybe it's I don't have time. Maybe, it really conflicts with something that you want to do. And rather than fight them on it, you're like, "Fine, it's not like I needed to eat. Lunch for me isn't that important. Fine. It's not like I needed to pick up my medicine to be able to function. I don't really need it. I can go to the store another time." Like, no. When you actively give up something that you need, when you're actively going against everything that your body is telling you, whether it's sleep or anything else, for the sake of not having to prove your point, congrats, you're a people pleaser. Here's the thing. You deserve to love yourself more, but these habits often start early on in our lives. Okay, they don't just show up. You didn't just wake up one day and was like, "You know what? I think I care about this person more than me." It can start in some really small, crazy ways. Like you have childhood roots where people tell you that you're the easy kid or you like to be the peacekeeper. All that does is reinforce the idea that you're positive or you're good or you're maybe in a better position than other people and other kids because you quote unquote don't rock the boat. Okay? We don't have to go out of our way for this one because they just go with the flow. And it's like, no, that doesn't make you an easygoing or whatever kind of a person. That makes you the kind of person that doesn't stand up for themselves. And these adults are reiterating the idea that what you need and what you want isn't valued more than the idea that you don't rock their boat. okay? Childhood roots of being told that it's okay to not stand up for yourself. You also have society's lies when they tell you that nice people finish first. That's not true. We not only just see that just with other people where you're like, yo, somebody ruthless just came out first. Like, you have to cut people down. You have to mow people down. Now, I'm not saying that's true, but when you're too nice and you let other people run over you, you'll end up more like you're exhausted and resentful. Okay, there's gotta be a gray area between being nice and always letting other people go first and being a complete and utter like asshole for no reason, just to get where you want. You don't have to step on the people's heads to succeed in where you want to succeed, but also at the same time, you don't have to come through and allow people to step on you to get where you need to be. Then, of course, lastly, which is probably the most common, is you have the addiction angle, where the dopamine hit of approval is so powerful that you're like, well, this, knowing that they like me, or knowing that this thing happened, knowing that, I was able to produce this sort of good is worth whatever else is happening. Guys, the truth, dopamine hit of approval passes, okay? It's a trap. It's a literal trap. You cannot do things in your life just because they make you happy, because happiness fades. We can have a whole discussion about the difference between happiness and joy, which might actually happen soon, but there is a huge separation between living because, again, it doesn't rock the boat or it makes you feel really good to know that you made another person feel good, because it starts from a healthy place. It starts from a healthy place of wanting what's best for people and how things operate. But also at the same time, you're causing a situation and causing a system to be created where it's okay for people to walk all over you because it quote unquote makes you feel good, and that's a problem. That's an issue that has no business being created. Okay, we don't want to be a part of the nice person hall of shame, because that also exists. Okay, you don't want to be in a position where you're just so nice that you over apologize. Okay, where you're just like, oh, I'm so sorry, I made life difficult for you. It's okay if life's difficult for me, but I didn't mean to do that. Or B, you're the human pause button, okay, where your opinion is, it's whatever you want. And I'm not talking about legitimately for things that do not matter to you, because for those of us, like, I'm a very intense, I know what I want, I'm very clear on what I want and what I need kind of a person. So when I look at you and say it's whatever you want, I legitimately mean that, because so many times I come across at you and it's like, no, give me what I need. I require this. So I can be a little too pushy on the other end. But if your response is literally whatever you want at all times, like you're some sort of robot that just is there to create pleasure for the other person, no. That's newsflash. No one wants to play 21 questions about going to lunch or anything, okay? So it's cool to have an opinion on something. It's cool to step up and be like, yeah, this is what I do care about. This is what I'm looking for, okay? And C, you can become the emotional janitor, okay? The person that cleans up everyone else's messy feelings while your own life burns like a dumpster fire. Okay, because you tell yourself that you'll make time for you when everybody else is okay, and it just doesn't happen. Okay, it's also kind of like being a mom, like the mom syndrome, where you try to take care of everything else first. You make sure the kid's good, the husband's good, the house is good, the dog is good, everything that needs to be taken care of, and then you say, okay, when I have time, I'll worry about me. And that's how the whole house gets clean, the laundry is done, everybody has eaten, everybody's taking a nap, and you're trying to figure out, how have I not eaten, showered, or done anything for myself, running on 4 hours of sleep. You are so concerned about being helpful and taking care of other people, and like I said, being the emotional janitor of picking up the pieces after people, that you completely forget that you have to take care of yourself. And as my friends would say, if your cup is empty, then you have nothing to give to somebody else. You have to fill your cup. And the truth is, there can be really heavy costs to always being the nice one. Okay, there's this thing called like the invisible tax. Okay, it's the thing that you're paying, what you have to pay in order to be that kind of a nice person. like I was saying before, sometimes your mental load is overwhelming. Like, I've taken on all this stuff and now my brain is frying because everyone else is good and I've owned your stuff and I've taken care and I've sifted through and I've done all of these different things, but I haven't taken care of me and now my brain is frying. Okay. Then of course there's lost opportunities because you've made time for everybody else and there's no time left for you because there is a set number of hours in the day. That's not your fault. That's not anyone else's fault. That's just kind of how it works. That's how the universe works, okay? The sun rises and the sun falls. There's 24 hours in a day. And at some point, you're gonna run out of time and space to get something done. I went to this high school that was a really advanced high school, okay? Where, for better or for worse, we were essentially doing college level courses with the same books and the professors and everything else, but on a high school schedule. And the high school schedule is a big deal. It's a big part of it because in the state of North Carolina, you're required to be in class for a certain number of hours a day. Okay, which is why you get kids that are in class from 7 to 3 or 9 to, whatever. Like, there's a certain number of hours you have to be in school. But in college, you don't have those rules and regulations, which is why you can have a class that meets for 2 hours every Tuesday, Thursday, just because, or they separate it however. So imagine if a class that meets 3 days a week is now meeting 5 days a week, because that includes homework and everything else. So we're taking, an advanced course, but every day. All right. And you're taking 5 of those. So the running joke in school was what we had, the 3 S's. You had sleep, study, and socialize, and you could only have 2. Okay. You are losing the opportunity for one of those because you can't do it all. So you had kids that chose sleep and study, kids that chose sleep and socialize, and folks that I chose study and socialize because I wasn't going to miss out, but I also wasn't going to let my grades drop. And who needs sleep when you're 16 and 17 and you feel all powerful? Okay. You totally need sleep, but at that age, you're like, I'm invincible. And that definitely came back to bite me in the butt. So the lost opportunity for me was sleep. That's what happens when you start trying to give and overexert yourself and spread yourself too thin. You lose something. And then one of the most important things that you have to worry about emotionally is the resentment spiral. Because while you're losing your opportunities and your mental load is completely overwhelming, you see everyone else in a good space. You see everybody else thriving. You see all these other things happening and you're dying on the inside, and it makes you so mad. Okay, it makes you so bitter. It makes everything super disrespectful because you're just so overwhelmed that you can't even handle the small basic stuff. Okay, that's probably the most dangerous tax that you'll have, of the jealousy and the envy that comes along with it. And then, of course, you become the expert clip of the group, the therapist, okay? You're the one holding things together, okay? People pleasing is not selflessness. It's a control issue. You're trying to manage how others feel about you, not their personal feelings. There's a huge separation there. You're not just being the good friend that's there to help them sift through their stuff. Your intentionality behind it is what's dangerous. Like, if I'm helping this person get this done, then I'm sure that they're gonna like me for X, Y, and Z. I'm sure that they're gonna appreciate me more than if I didn't. I'm sure that they're gonna view me as this good person because if I don't do it, they're automatically gonna view me as a bad person. That's the people-pleasing aspect. It's not that your heart isn't to help. Your heart is totally to help. You're still a good person, but the intentionality behind it is very dangerous. And the struggle is that the no reality looks super different than our fantasy. Because you look at yourself and you say, hey, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to say no. I want to do these things. So in your mind, you think that, okay, I'm going to say no, and this is what it's going to look like. You think, I'm going to say no, and then you're going to have this epic, like, hair flip, mic drop, and the crowd's going to cheer. And it's like, yeah, you stood up for yourself. Someone looks at me and goes, Jasmine, can you pick this up from the store? And I could be like, no. Boom, and everything is great. Look at me standing up for myself, okay? But what actually happens, especially for someone that's a recovering people pleaser, is you say, actually, maybe, unless you mean, well, maybe I could figure out. And instead of just saying no, you're internally dying on the inside because you know you need to say no and you're trying to fight the reasoning instead of just saying no with confidence. You're like, well, I want to say yes. I think I will say yes, but maybe I won't say yes. That's what it actually sounds like. So we have to upgrade from being a doormat to a person with a functional spine, how to actually stand up in confidence. So here's a really good framework we should follow, okay? Step 1, identify your pleasing triggers. Everybody has triggers for literally everything. Okay, so that's not like something special or something new. That's legitimately, I am triggered into doing something, okay? Who or what thing makes you fold? What look does somebody give you? Voice is being used. What person can always come in and make you just crumble? Okay, you want to figure out who the guilt tripper is. Is it the authority figure, the conflict? What is it that makes you say, my stuff doesn't matter? And everybody's got it. And the issue is not caving for one thing or maybe caving for another situation. The issue is, saying to yourself, this thing is more important all the time. It's a consistency issue. It would be the equivalent of like if my husband asked me for something and I dropped everything every time, no matter what. No matter how extreme the conversation was, no matter how crazy the ask or whether or not I have the time for it, like I drop everything and do it because he asked me. That can be dangerous because it gives somebody ultimate control. And if that person isn't kind-hearted or doesn't recognize it in their own right, it can be incredibly dangerous for you. So you want to identify and understand what causes you to step in and go, absolutely, yes, all the time. And step 2, you want the 5-second script. Okay? So you buy some time. If someone asks you to do something, you pause and you buy yourself a little time. Let me check my calendar. All right. And you can actually legit check your calendar. Sometimes you can say, let me check my calendar, and then be like, I pretended to check my calendar. No, I can't do it. Okay. But you have a legit thing of like, let me check to see if this fits in my schedule. Okay. And then you need the polite exit. Okay. Because again, you took the pause and then you have a polite exit, which is, you know what? This doesn't really work for me, but let me know how it goes. So you stand your ground and you say no, but then you offer the sweet support that you do have a heart for, which is, let me know, I am interested in what you were trying to say. I just can't give more than I have right now. So sorry I can't help, but I'm interested to make sure that your progress is being made. That's a very solid, polite way of saying no. And then you want to stay away from the acronym of doing things and being quote unquote jaded. Okay. So J, you don't want to justify. You do not have to explain why you're unavailable. That's point blank period. You do not have to explain why you're unavailable. You just can say I'm unavailable. Okay. Then you don't have to argue. And this is for those of us that hate conflict, okay? Because conflict will cause you to crumble and people please. It's a trigger. I don't have to argue with you about why I didn't have to justify. I can just say, no, this is what it is. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to be like, no, I need this. This is what's healthy for me. You don't have to do that either. You also don't have to explain. You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to justify, defend, argue, explain. No jade, okay? You don't want to do any of that because it undermines what you're actually trying to say. It undermines the point you're trying to make because it also gives people an opportunity to think that they can kind of wiggle their way in. And then the final step is the withdrawal period. Okay, when you first set the boundary, people will act like you're canceling Christmas, okay? But hold firm. They will adjust. You have to stop adjusting to other people. That's the struggle we have as people pleasers. You cannot adjust your life to them. They must adjust to you. And you're not asking them to adjust to you at all times because you become a rigid monster, but you have bent so much that you no longer have the capacity for yourself. So now it's time for them to bend towards you, even if it's just a little bit. So they will be extreme. They will get upset. They will be like, what happened? Why? You must not know it's important for me. I'm fully aware that it's important for you. This is just a moment that I have to step back. And then you step back and then you don't worry about it. You let them explode, you let them wonder, you let them do all these other things, but you've withdrawn, you've made your point, and then you let them work it out in themselves, okay? So with these tools, you'd think that people would want to react okay. Okay, you'd think that when you do these steps, you do these 3 steps, you function, you don't explain yourself, you step back and they're like, what happened? And then, you're like, I'm good. And you think they work it out in themselves. But there are also a few people who don't catch the social cues, and they need a little bit more push to respect your new no. Okay, there's always a couple of them that don't see anything but what they need in the moment. And sometimes they need a little extra help. Okay, so if your question in your mind is, well, won't people think that I'm selfish? Because that's a legit question. The answer is selfish is expecting someone to light themselves on fire to keep you warm. Because that's the person that's pushing your boundaries. They're the ones that are like, oh, come on, you can do it. I'm sure you can make time for this. I'm sure you did it last time. Yeah, no, they're asking you to destroy yourself for the sake of them. That is selfish. So you don't need to worry about looking selfish because they've already beat you to it. If you say, well, what if I feel guilty about it? Which is a very common thing for someone that's trying to unlearn how to please people. Okay, that is a very normal, I wanted to, I wish I could have, I should have maybe helped. No, the answer to that is guilt is just withdrawal symptoms from your addiction to approval. That's what it is. It's a withdrawal symptom. Because the moment you learn how to not, the moment you learn how to make sure that these things don't happen or exist, then the guilt passes. It always does. It always passes. The goal is just to learn how to set the boundary so the guilt isn't there. You can put guilt outside of the boundary. You've created a healthy wall around yourself, and guilt is not welcome there. When you say, but what if I like helping people? The answer to that is, well, help because you want to, not because you're afraid of what happens if you don't. That's what I mean by the intentionality aspect of it, okay? When you look at a situation and you go, I want to help you because I have the time, the emotional capacity, the energy, and everything else to go along with it. You're not doing these things or fighting these things or making these things happen simply because I'm scared of what will happen if they think that I don't care about them. I'm scared of what will happen if they think that I'm a loser. I'm scared of what will happen if they think, anything. The moment you start caring about what other people think is the moment you're in trouble and you're starting to please them. So help because you want to help. Help because you have a good heart, not because you have to. So here's your homework this week, guys. 1, decline one request. Just one request. It might just kill you. It might just kill you, but we're going to decline one request this week. You're going to choose yourself one time. You have 7 days, one time. You can do it. I have faith in you. Then you're not going to apologize unless you commit a felony. Okay, you have to stop apologizing for just breathing. Okay, so unless it's a huge issue, you can spend 7 days of just not apologizing. Just silence. Just let it sit there. And if people don't like it, it's fine. 1, they will not die. And 2, it's lasting for a week anyway. They'll get over themselves in a week. 3rd, don't over-explain. Okay? If the answer is no because you're not free, or the answer is no because you already had an errand, bet. You don't have to explain what the errand is. You don't have to explain the importance of the errand and why it's time sensitive and has to go somewhere. No. Just say, hey, I'm busy. Unfortunately, I can't. If you feel like going in depth to the fact that, hey, I have to run another errand, so be it. But anything after that, they don't need the icing on the cake. Don't explain yourself. Then try to ask for something that you want. Okay? Don't be scared to put yourself first somewhere. Okay? If you want sprinkles with your ice cream, then ask for sprinkles. If you don't have sprinkles in the house and you want to ask your partner to go pick up sprinkles because you want sprinkles with your ice cream, do not be scared to ask. Do not think, oh, what if this inconveniences them? Don't worry about that, because we all know if the shoe was on the other foot, you drop everything and go get sprinkles for them. So don't be afraid to ask for what you want. And lastly, do something purely selfish and then celebrate that solo activity. Okay? Whether or not it's stopping to read a book, even if, you know, that means you're not doing something for someone else. Oh, I'm busy, but that busyness is I was sitting here and I was binging a TV show. Whatever it is, do something that has nothing to do with anybody else. It's just a protection for you. It'll make you feel so good. You'll celebrate yourself and you'll learn what it feels like to recharge and make sure that you're okay. Share your wins with me on Instagram at breathe_coaching_easy_coaching, or on TikTok at lifecoach_Jasmine J with the hashtag freedom, because I want to celebrate your wins with you. I want to celebrate these amazing moments that you were able to step up and say, hey, I choose me. Okay. And repeat after me. I am not a 24/7 vending machine. I am not a 24/7 vending machine, okay? Some days I'm out of stock. Be grateful I'm even open. That's how you have to view yourself. You are something that is available, but it is a hot commodity, and then you do have an option to be empty, okay? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes there is no juice left for them to purchase, and they have to go somewhere else. It is A-okay. Okay, they should be blessed and highly favored that they're able to produce and get something from you rather than thinking that it's an expectation. Living for yourself is not the rebellion. It's returning to who you were before the world told you to shrink. I am here for the rebellion. We are here to stand up for ourselves. We're here to be great in all that we do. And just saying yes to yourself is not a part of that rebellion. That's just basic human need, common sense, common decency, okay? Now, go out, disappoint somebody because it's good for them.
Remember, you don't need permission to be great. And this is your call to rise, to reclaim your power, and to step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I believe extraordinary potential lives in all of us. The dreams we've tucked away, the voice that was softened, and the fire that's been waiting to burn bright. This journey isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about shattering expectations and embracing your truest, most unapologetic self. No more shrinking or waiting for permission. The world needs your brilliance, your resilience, and your unique light. It's time to stop asking, am I enough? And start declaring, I am more than enough. Your next chapter begins now. Let's write it with courage, audacity, and unshakable belief in who you are. The unstoppable person isn't born, they're awakened. And that person is you. Now go start your revolution. This world needs your unshaken light today.